What's up, everyone? Matt Gajewski here, back again with the Odd Shopper channel. And today we're talking college football week 8, the Friday slate. Before we get started, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all other content goes live. We're also brought to you by Bet365. They have a deal for those of you in Kentucky, Ohio, New Jersey, Virginia, Iowa, Colorado, Louisiana, Indiana, Arizona, North Carolina, and Pennsylvania. What you'll do is click the link below, make your first deposit, bet $5 in any game, a side or a total. Whether it wins or loses, you are getting $200 in the form of bonus bets. You must be 21 or older to play, 18 in Kentucky. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, please call or text 1-800-GAMBLER. But take advantage of those. It's not every day a sportsbook is just handing you $200 in the form of bonus bets, which you can use on games like this, because I'm going to be straight up with you guys right at the jump. I didn't bet any of these games. It's a Friday 4-game slate. I may bet some of them, and I will give you my lean for all 4 of them. I am required to be here and talk about these games from a betting perspective, which I love to do, but I feel somewhat, at least ingenuous, not coming out and giving you a bet. But I have bet nothing. I will bring you behind the glass, and we will talk about Duke and Florida State. The first game up. Reason I haven't bet this game is I'm trying to sell both of these teams. If you forced me to pick a side, it would without a doubt be Duke, based on what Florida State has done right now. If you look at just the most recent game, and now Florida State is coming off a bye, which maybe they can instill some more of this stuff, they just benched a lot of their starters, man, and they fully started playing some freshmen. They bench Morlock at tight end. Brown didn't play at wide receiver. Obviously, Uagalele is out, so they're seeing what they have in Glenn, but they're running more deep at running back. The offensive line is a complete mess. They have players hurt all over the place there. Richie Leonard, Robert Scott, Keandre Jones, players everywhere, just banged up, hurt. Running back Lucas and Roy Dell are out. On defense, they just rolled out DJ Lundy for the year. They're playing a bunch of guys at different positions there. But honestly, you might be able to argue that that is a boost for this team because their starters have been so bad. But ultimately, it adds a lot of volatility. How much are you evaluating these players against the spread? What are they worth? I mean, at the beginning of the year, the coaching staff, unless they're just blindly betting depth or betting like veteranship, I don't know what you call it, but unless they're just blindly playing veterans, like they evaluated these guys and said they were worse at the beginning of the year. So I don't really know what to make of it. Duke has run hotter than the absolute sun this year, so they're not a team I really like that much either. They beat UConn by 5. They beat Northwestern by 6 in the game they should have lost. They crushed Middle Tennessee State, who's a bottom 10 team in the country. They beat North Carolina in the game. They had a 39% post-game win expectancy, and then they rightfully lost to Georgia Tech in the last game. So how good is Duke actually? I think a lot of their efficiency metrics are pretty fraudulent, but they are well ahead of Florida State. So that's the big hiccup in this game. Could you look to a total? It's over or past, because to me, Florida State 41st in pace, Duke 11th. You at least have that. Duke has been pretty good on defense, but again, what signal callers have they faced? You played Mike Wright. He's been benched. Nick Evers is decent. Vadiato, they did a good job against. Criswell's a backup, and they actually did a decent job against Haynes King. So maybe it is just Duke or pass on the back of this defense, because I don't love the Duke offense. But anyway, this is a very greasy game and a very hard one to bet overall. As far as our next game goes, this is typically the kind of games I just don't bet overall, like a name your score situation for Oregon. They're currently at 28.5, so you need to win this game by 4 scores. The total is 60 points, which has come up from 58.5. That's largely, I think, because we finally saw some life out of Purdue with Brown under center, their new signal caller, who's been named the starter for this game. But I have trouble with that even because the pace is bad. 114th is Purdue. Oregon is 65th. Offensive efficiency, Purdue is actually 49th, but they're facing the 8th ranked Oregon defense. And basically all of this is just banking on Purdue being the offense we saw against Illinois, and not the offense we saw under Hudson Card through most of the year. But with that said, Hudson Card did run about as bad as you can. When you're playing Oregon State and your running back drops a pass, instead of it hitting the ground, it hits his foot and Kareem's right to a defender for a pick 6. I mean, that's just kind of how Purdue's season is gone. But Oregon, they now have to travel across the country off the emotional Ohio State win. They're flat out the better team, and they're flat out better than Purdue by 28.5 points if they want to win this game by that much. As I've gotten into trouble this year betting games like Penn State, where they just take their foot off the gas in the second half of games. And Oregon very much could do that. As far as injuries go, with Oregon, it's basically just Birch. Their offensive line, I don't think, is changing much. Purdue has a bunch of injuries still. The big one, CJ Madden on the edge, got ruled out for the year. Markevius Brown hit the portal. They've had a couple of players on offense that are more rotational out. But yeah, man, it just comes down to Oregon's better than Purdue by 28.5 points. Do they want to win by that much? So that is the game I typically do not bet. Under is somewhat interesting because of pace. I will say that. Next game up, I actually have a decent amount of interest in betting this one. Oklahoma State, BYU, the spread is -8.5 in a lot of spots, and the total is 52.5. That's come way down. There was a report that came out this morning that maybe it won't be Alan Bowman under center. I've been a big Alan Bowman critic, but I've also seen enough Garrett Rangel where I'm not confident he's the answer either. Bowman has also run kind of bad with his turnovers. 10 turnover-worthy plays. He has 8 interceptions. That is not ideal. The offensive line somehow is 4th in pass blocking and 99th in run blocking. I'll never understand these discrepancies, but it's extended to Ali Gordon. They don't have any semblance of a run game. So they're just getting battered by opposing pass rushes, putting Bowman into tough situations, and he's throwing interceptions. The receivers are good for this team. You'll have to watch the status of Brendan Presley. He exited their last game, but they've now had the bye. Same thing with Taylor Shetron. He missed their last game, but they've had the bye. What we know about Oklahoma State is their defense is terrible, so I expect BYU to score. They've been much better than we thought. O-line is easily top 50 in the country. They're 53rd in run blocking, 12th in pass blocking. Retzlaff is doing a decent job taking care of the ball. Receivers are good. Run game is better now. They returned Martin, Ropati. Most of their backs are healthy. And again, anyone can do whatever they want to Oklahoma State. 124th in run defense, 92nd in coverage. The only real question is, can Oklahoma State keep up? BYU will slow you down. They're 117th in pace. Oklahoma State 5th. I have some tepid interest in the over now that it's come down this far, and as well as BYU, just with Garrett Rangel potentially playing in this game. The leash has already been short for Bowman. But it's a lot of points for a BYU team I want to sell at some point. It's also a lot of points for an over with one team that will play at a very slow pace. And the other team has been inept on offense. So it's a tough situation. Last one up, one I probably have the most interest in playing. It's either BYU or Nevada, but Fresno's taking money, so I just haven't had any incentive to bet this right now with a 3 coming up potentially in the future. Seeing a lot of really heavy juice 2.5s. Fresno State has played a pretty tough schedule. They got diced up in non-con by Michigan, and then they had a relatively easy run for a couple games. Sac State, New Mexico. That was more of a shootout than it should have been. Then they got blown out to UNLV and then played a close game against Washington State. It's been a pretty tough schedule for this team. Nevada's been very weird. They lost to SMU by 5, beat Troy by 2, so kind of diametrically opposed games there. Georgia Southern lost by 3. Minnesota lost by 27. Then they played an FCS team. Played a very close game to San Jose State, and then they beat Oregon State. So what do we make of this team overall? You know what? I'm going to start with Fresno State. So first of all, this offensive line is putrid. They're 120th in pass blocking, 66th in run blocking. A lot of it's not their fault. They've had 4 players get hurt on that group. Some of them starters, some of them backups, but all that means is you have some starters with a combination of backups and third stringers playing. Malik Sherrod, their starting running back, is out right now. We don't know when he's coming back. They called him week to week. And they haven't had 2 of their starters in the secondary, RJ Reagan and Cameron Bacha. So not only is the offensive line a concern, you have a statue quarterback in Mikey Keene who can't evade, but your defense is now 91st. Somehow they're still 53rd in coverage, but you could definitely run on this team. They're 87th there. So what does Nevada want to do? You look at this offense, their O-line has quietly been pretty good. 39th in pass blocking, 64th in run blocking. They're certainly limited under center, but we've actually seen Brendan Lewis do a decent job taking care of the ball. He's never going to be dynamic, but if he can put it where it belongs, he's a threat. Lewis also has elite dual threat abilities, averaging 5.8 yards per carry on 513 yards. Then you have the backs. They've gotten a lot of very good transfers. Garwo, Red, this is a very good backfield. So could you run it down Fresno? The efficiency metrics suggest yes. Then on defense, Nevada is 64th. They are 110 against the run, but they're 35th in coverage. What does Fresno State try to do? This is a pass-based team. They have been for years. They have a near 55% pass rate. So this sets up pretty nice for Nevada. They're the side I prefer and my favorite bet if you force me to take one right now. I'm currently not on the board with it, but I'm going to continue waiting. And if it gets to 3, I'll likely play Nevada. In the BYU game, favorite play is BYU minus an 8.5. Don't have it. Not sure I will. First 2 games have almost no interest in. It would be honestly probably a Purdue or pass, and it's certainly a pass. And then the first game, it's Duke or pass. I have a little more interest than in that game compared to the Purdue one. But that'll do it for us. Thank you guys for watching. Most of our betting content is out for now for the final week. Week 8, that is not the final week. But if you'd like something in the future, please let me know in the comments or reach out on Twitter. That's the best way to reach me. I don't often read the comments. But until next time, good luck. We'll see you guys later.